everyone, welcome back. This is Kayla from the Paw Paw District Library. I'm back for the second of 3 videos on how to dot journal. In video 1, we talked about our dot journal kit, what a dot journal is, why we should consider using one, and what the symbols are used for. Remember, we made an index of our symbols, an index that we aren't going to fill out until video 3 because you don't know yet what page what things are on. And then we made some future spreads and some monthly spreads. I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you got started. You may have even looked ahead. But today we're going to focus on weeklies and dailies. And I do want to remind you, you do what works for you. You may decide that a daily is a waste of your time, or it causes you too much anxiety to have to get up every morning and fill out your whole day. But that's okay. It's all about you. And if you don't want to use a weekly, don't use a weekly. One of the most important things I've learned about dot journaling is to utilize the pages as they come. That means don't go through from now until New Year's and add every single day because you might change your mind. You might not like that daily spread. And the point is that it's supposed to go with your life, not before. So if you want to write something down for December, you go back. And this is where your index comes in, and you'll always know where your monthly spread is. Again, we only went up to June, so I can't write something for December. But normally, I would have made the whole year right here. So, as they come, we did a month, and now we're on to a week. So weekly spreads, depending on how much information you want to put in them, could be 1 page, could be a 2-page spread. It's all about what works for you. Your weekly spread can have as much or as little information on it as you want. As you can see on this one, which is very busy and very full, I did each day. I have a note to self area. Inspiration words, because sometimes I just like to read something positive. Sometimes I need a box that tells me what I need to remember about next week, and I'm not quite ready to put it on my monthly, or maybe I don't keep a monthly, maybe I only keep a weekly. This will keep me organized to remember, hey, that needs to go on next week when I get there. And I planned out my lunches for the week. Whatever you want, you put on here. It's up to you. If you want to write your lunch at the bottom of each day, perfect. So let's start with a more simple weekly. Maybe this will work for you. I'm going to go ahead and fold up my journal because it's only going to be a 1-page spread because I don't think I need that much room. I'm going to grab my straight edge, even though we know that my straight lines are not very straight. And I think I'm going to use my black marker. Use whatever color you want. You could do it in pencil. It's up to you. Remember, it's yours. Make it your own. If you want it to be bright and colorful, make it bright and colorful. So I'm going to turn mine. Once again, I've already measured out a few things because I was doing a video and I wanted to make it really easy. But you can decide how you want your spreads to look. So in this, I'm going to make a 2-column spread that's going to have all of my school stuff in one column and everything else in the other column. Because for me, that's what's important. What's important for you may be totally different. You may want 3 columns. You may not want any columns. I'm going to flip my journal around. I just love this straight edge tool because without it, I would get nowhere near a straight line. It just makes it so much easier. If you do mark it all out in pencil first, just know that when you go over a pencil or try and erase, it could smudge your ink. So I just want you to be aware of that, maybe let it dry before you erase your pencil. Or like I did, I just put little tiny dots on top of the dots that are already there, hence a dot journal. just enough for me to have a guideline of where I needed to be. If you make a mistake, not that there has to be a mistake, we will talk in video 3 about mistake correction and what you can do to make it part of your journal. I'm all for, if you make a mistake or an extra line, make it some decorative piece. Or maybe you really meant to do that and now you just needed a bigger box for that day of the week. Or it becomes your next heading for your next set of boxes. Whatever works for you. Okay, there's my semi-straight lines, and I think this is the top of my journal. So I'm going to get a different color marker, and I'm going to write the date right in the middle. So maybe you don't care about the date. Maybe you just want to know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe you want to know both. If you know any fancy writing techniques or calligraphy, again, a really good spot to use those. I mean, why not? It's more fun. And so then I said I'm going to do, this will be for school. And we'll call this side life. So let's see. I'm going to look and make sure I don't miss anything. So even though we're already past Sunday, I'm still going to fill it out. I said on Sunday, for school, I needed to, and remember, it's a task, so I'm going to do that. Watch lecture. And it's already passed and I already did it, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it out. Remember those symbols we learned in video 1? You might want to keep a cheat sheet. Did you make your index in the front so you always remembered? It's okay to reference it. You're still new at this. I'm still new at this. And what else did I say? Oh, laundry. So that is a life task. And I went ahead and moved that task because I didn't have time for it. So I'm going to make a scheduled sign and say that I'm going to do laundry on Tuesday. See, I moved it and here it is. Once I complete it, I'll put an X through it. But this tells me that I didn't really do it. I just rescheduled it in my life for when it fit better. That's okay. And let's see, what else did we have? Oh, there was an event today. So events, I mark in squares. I'm also marking my events with a colored pen to make them even easier to stand out. There's no school. That's all I'm going to fill it out on this. But if you'd like how this looks, but you're like, but I still need more room because I wanted to keep track of some habits, or I wanted to keep track of, I don't know, when you walk the dog. You will still have a second page here. You could use this. You could have a notes column and keep notes to yourself. Or maybe like how I had over here, some other lunch ideas. That's a good one. Or maybe it just becomes a list of tasks that you're like, I don't know if I want to do it on Monday or Tuesday, but I should probably study for that chemistry test. So maybe it goes over here. Again, this is what works for you. Try it out. Maybe this week you do 2 pages, and then you realize next week when you're setting it up, I only used this one, so maybe I only use this one. So that's all I'm going to talk about weeklies. Again, if you want more inspiration ideas, go online. It really is. There's a million out there. Find what works for you. So let's talk about dailies. As I just said, there's a million and one ideas out there that'll help you create your daily. You could be artistic, you could be simple, it could be a list. It could be some elaborate, you have every single minute of your day scheduled because that's what feels right to you. And that's okay. So for my first spread, I went ahead and kind of scheduled out my day. I also want to point out that you should decide ahead of time, when are you going to make your dailies? Because you don't go right now and make the next 3 weeks worth. You need to decide, are you going to do it at night as a brain dump before you go to bed, so that way when you wake up the next morning, you're all set? Or do you want to get up in the morning and while you're eating your bowl of cereal, fill out your daily? What works best in your life? I am not a morning person. I'm going to make mine at night before I go to bed, because I even wrote when I want to wake up. And maybe that changes every day. So, as we can see, this was my Friday spread. So you'll be able to see that I've already completed some tasks, or I've scheduled it. So, I went ahead and made a basic grid. I wrote the date at the top, because I always want to be able to know, if I do flip back, what day was it? And instead of having an AM and a PM column, I just went ahead and followed it around like a clock. So this is 6 AM and 6 PM. So as we follow it around, I wake up 6 AM. And I reminded myself to take a shower and to pack a lunch. You might think that these are simple things, but it doesn't hurt to write them down. I have the space. Why not? And let's see. So I had a meeting at 10. So that was good that I put that in there so I remembered. And maybe it was really at 10:30 and I could have put that in parentheses, a more exact time if I was worried. I had to remember to do some work things. Oh, it looks like I didn't finish this one, but I rescheduled it for another day. So that'll show up later in my week. And, I made a note to eat dinner because I didn't want to get too busy and forget. And I had an event where I met up with my friend and did yoga. And I yelled at myself to make sure I went to bed on a decent time. 11's a little late, but at least if I had it there, it didn't become any later. And I also put a note section. So you can see that I color coded. So I did pink as my everyday life things and blue as my work things. But it doesn't have to be color coded. Maybe you want everything in one color. That's fine. Or maybe you write certain things in marker and certain things in pen. I also had a small habit tracker at the bottom of my day. Every time during the hour I remembered to stand up, I gave myself a mark. Because sometimes I need to be reminded to get up and move around. And every glass of water I drank, I marked it here. Maybe I didn't do so well this day. Maybe my next day is better. So what if this doesn't work for you? What if this is way too scheduled and you just want to have a place where your brain can look at and see something and maybe replace all those sticky notes that you have stuck to every surface? Let's take a look. Let's try one over here. So let's see. I'll grab my black pen and I'm just going to write the date. I do not know any fancy writing techniques, so mine's just going to be very basic. And an underline. Perfect. So maybe I just know what I need to do today. So let's see. I need to make a schedule. And walk the dog. Did you see what I did there? I turned my mistake into what it needs to be, a dot. And maybe I shouldn't have used dots. Remember I told you in the first video you could assign your own? Maybe I like little hash marks or dashes. That's probably what I should have used. But I didn't, so I'm going to try and keep it going. If it becomes too hard though, guess what? you can change it. It's yours. And what else do I need to do? Maybe I want to comment on this video. Normally this would have been made already, but I forgot. And it happens. So we're midway through the day and I'm already making it. That's okay. So as you can see, I'm making 2 columns again, because for me it makes more sense to have work and life, or school and life, or maybe you have a part-time job and you need to remember what time your shift starts. That's a good thing to put in here. Or school gets out early today. So make a note of it. So after I have just running tasks everywhere and I've done things, I'm going to mark them off just like you normally would. So you just go through and I didn't actually do this today, but it's okay. We're going to say, I already walked the dog. So what else could I keep on here? Maybe I want to keep how I'm feeling, because sometimes having a place to write it down helps you process it. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you're not understanding that chemistry problem. Maybe you're really happy because something really exciting just happened. You can write it down here and it almost becomes like a diary entry. This is yours. Nobody else has to see it. Be honest. Or maybe I want to keep that tracker over here, because if I don't, maybe I'll forget. You fill out as much or as little of the page as you want. I do encourage you to make the daily a whole page and not try and make it a bunch of days on one, because you don't want to cram yourself into one little area. But what I say and what you do doesn't have to be the same. That's your choice. I'm just here to give advice. Thanks for joining today's video. I hope you got something out of it and you learned a little bit more about a weekly or a daily spread, and maybe you find one that works for you. Next week will be the 3rd part of this video series, where I will show you all of the extra options that you could put into your dot journal. We'll go over that index at the very front that we're finally going to be ready to fill out, because we'll have some pages in here, if I can find it. We'll finally fill out this index. And we'll talk about mistake corrections. Not that they have to be called mistakes, but in case you wanted them, I'll show them to you. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments below or reach out to us via email. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and week, and I will see you next Monday. Bye!